superheroes. I'm Pink Phoenix, coming to you from Purdue University College of Veterinary Medicine's League of VetaHumanz. Today, our special guest on VetaHumanz Live is VetaHuman VET MADRINA. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you today.
I'm very excited for this episode. To get started, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am Carmen Fuentealba. I'm a veterinarian and pathologist by training. And at the moment, I am the founding dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine, Long Island University. I'm originally from Chile in South America, and I got my DVM there, and then I have done postgraduate training, and I have been everywhere. So that's me.
It's wonderful. I have to ask, is there a story behind your superhero name?
Well, it took me a while to come up with what to call myself. I have never taken myself very seriously. So I asked different people that know me well. And, one of the things is almost like I tend to help people. So they said, well, you are like the fairy godmother. And it was like, all right, I think I can do this one. So it's sort of like Ada Madrina, and that would have been too long. So it ended up like a godmother.
I love it. It's one of my favorite superhero names. So we have a lot of people in our audience who want to be veterinarians. Can you tell us when you decided to become a veterinarian? Was there a person or did something happen that influenced you?
Yeah, so I always liked animals, and my dad liked animals. We had animals around, and he was very compassionate with the animals that we had. So we lived in the city, but we had a big backyard. And, we had dogs and didn't have cats and chickens. And I always remember that there was a chicken we call it the paralytic chicken, that will run around. And then my dad will give him some sort of medication with a big syringe. So he will go get the chicken, give this medication. And it was like a pet chicken, but and my parents sort of were very supportive, and I had all these sort of crazy ideas. So I will catch tadpoles and then look at them, sort of follow their development, metamorphosis in the making, and I will have them in a window in our bathroom. And they didn't mind, and they were just fine. My mom was a nurse, and I really didn't have, at that point, a role model, a veterinarian, and I didn't know that much about veterinarians. Then as I got closer to the time to go to college, I had some friends that were going into veterinary school, and I thought, I think this is what I want to do. But it was sort of around the love of animals, but it wasn't something that ever since I was 4 years old, I wanted to be a vet, because that didn't exist. My dad would take the dog to the vet and all that, but I wouldn't go with him. So, it just happened in a sort of very progressive manner.
Well, I'm glad you got here.
Thank you.
When you decided to be a veterinarian, are you the kind of veterinarian that you thought you would be right now, or did your career path change?
Oh, it changed, and it changed a lot. So everybody has to do, I studied veterinary medicine in Chile, and it was a very good program. And everybody had to do like an internship at some point, and I became really, really in love with public health, the public health aspect of veterinary medicine. And so I did an internship in the human hospital, and we will go out and test food, ice cream and, little pastries and sausages and all that, and, then the slaughterhouse and all of those things. And I left that internship with an offer of employment. And it was, sort of prestigious to do that. So I was quite happy that I already had a job. And then we do a defense of our thesis. You had to do a thesis. And I was there for a friend's defense because I had already finished mine. And my pathology professor said, hey, hello, how are you doing? What are you going to do? And then I said, I'm going to be a public health vet. And he said, no, you are not. You're supposed to be a pathologist. And so he intercepted me and convinced me to go into graduate training. And the reality is that I always liked pathology. I was always there for all the different extracurricular activities and postmortem examinations and all that. But I felt that I didn't have the top grades that were required to be a pathologist. But he saw me working hard and being, engaged, and that's how I ended up doing a postgraduate training in pathology.
Sounds like everybody wanted you. Just what a great externship to be able, as a veterinary student, to be able to extern at a human hospital and get all that experience.
Yes,
that's fantastic.
Yes. So that it has to do with being, there at the right time, right? Because the time that I did my externship, an opening occurred, and so I think it's a combination of being there, working hard, people noticing that you work hard, and then doors somehow open.
Absolutely. I think when you put the effort in, people definitely notice. So what did you think being a veterinarian would be like compared to what it's really like?
Yeah, that one is a little bit more difficult for me because I didn't have the knowledge of everything that a veterinarian would do. And then going through the program, the clinical aspect, it was sort of okay for me, but it was not something that I was really looking forward to be, a small animal vet. I did mixed animal practice for a while, and that I really liked. And so I could have been, like a mixed animal practitioner, but, I just ended up in this, the pathology and the academic track. So I don't have a very sort of profound response to that particular question.
So here's a big question for you.
Okay.
You are the founding dean of a veterinary college. What is it like to start a whole new veterinary college?
Scary. Well, it is a huge responsibility, and the thing is that, there have been things through my academic career where I said things like, I will never be department head. I will never be a dean. And then I end up doing both. But at the end, being a department head helped me a lot in what I'm doing now, because there are those aspects that, I got to know about, mentoring faculty, helping faculty to be successful, finding resources, guiding them, and then sometimes, having tough conversations. And then I was associate dean for a long time at different places, and I was founding faculty in new schools. So it is almost like I had been developing a set of skills and then learning from here and there, and then thinking all along that maybe there is something else that I'm supposed to be doing. And it has been this situation that, the reality is that, and I don't say this out of excessive pride, it's just that I have been in a situation where I was there at the right time. So people realized that I could be a good associate dean for academic affairs, and they guided me. And being in the VetaHumanz, I have to tell you that it was never somebody that looked like me, and it was never another Hispanic female. It was white guys that saw something and said, okay, I think you should do this. And so I learned a lot being an associate dean and working with deans. And then I did have two role models, females, white ladies that were deans, and I learned from them. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity presented itself. And it was like, I think I know what to do because, I have done the different bits and pieces. And sometimes for people could be annoying because like animal resources, yep, I was director of animal resources. I have done that. And there are certain things, of course, that I have not done, and you're always learning. But, they called me and it was like, okay, let me see what is it that you intend to do. And I met with the president of the university. I thought I had a good idea of how challenging this was going to be. And there are times when I question my sanity, but let me tell you, when those students arrived and we got our inaugural class, and now we have two classes, and then you have faculty, and we have a spay neuter clinic for feral cats, and we are doing free vaccination clinics, and then things are happening.
It's just wonderful. You should be very proud of your accomplishments.
Well, I have a lot of support. Like you cannot do it alone. There is a lot of support. And the other thing I will say is that I don't know if I think it was the way that my parents were, but I tend to be very conscientious about spending too much money and recycling and reusing. So I am like the scavenger of this campus that goes around and look for furniture that nobody else wants, and I always find a use for them. So, we have been able to do a lot of things, just putting together, going to the guts of the buildings, so, sort of basements, and finding, and there is people in the facilities department that they're willing to humor me and go around in a truck and find things and go to secondhand stores and buy furniture. And, then we got the grant and we got the money to do things nice and, new furniture. But at the beginning, when we didn't really have any funding, when we were looking for, going through the accreditation process to get our letter of reasonable assurance. At that point, it was, okay, they allow me to hire faculty. Now I need to find offices. I need to have those offices looking nice and all that. And so, yeah.
Well, that's so inspirational how resourceful you were. You didn't let anything stop you from achieving the goal. And then once you put together the basics, you can build on that. And look what you've built.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, yesterday we were talking about, some other challenges that we, there is always you fix something and something else comes up. So it's always something. And I was saying that I often feel like this little, and I don't even know the name in Spanish or in English, but it's these things that you push and they come back, like they tend to be like a big toy. And then you push them. They have like sand underneath, in the bottom. They tend to be like plastic, and then you punch them and push them, and then they wiggle, and then they come back. That's me. There is a punch, and you wiggle, you figure it out, and then you have some stability until the next punch comes.
Yes, very resilient. That's great. I love that analogy. So, what's been your best day as a veterinarian so far? What happened?
That is a little bit of a self-serving thing, because I have had many great days. I have had, graduations are great. When I see people and I know their struggles and I see them, I am the one there crying my eyes out. So those are very special days, and I have quite a few of those. Um, but I think the one that surprised me, because it was just a really visceral thing, and that's why I say that it's self-serving, was when I heard that we got our letter of reasonable assurance, and now we could start the school and start, recruiting students and all that. And again, it sounds, like self-serving, and I'm talking about traveling and all that, but I have been invited to go to Austria, where they were looking at opening a new vet school. So I went there for a week to give some advice and look at what they had and all that. And when I got the call, I was in front of all these mountains, and it was just a beautiful day. And it was like, I am here and I come from Chile, from a lot, with all these mountains, and look at me, now in Austria receiving this call. And so, it was just, I called my husband and I called my boss. Both of them thought that something horrible had happened, because I couldn't talk. I was just crying. And I don't think my boss, he had never ever seen me crying. He had seen the toy that comes back and receives a punch and just, you know, gets up and keep on going. And so I was just totally, out of my mind. And I was like, no, this is good. I am crying, but it's good news. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. I can almost imagine just the scenery and then what you must have been feeling, such immense joy after working so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful story. You started a vet school during a pandemic. Just starting a vet school is a huge accomplishment, and you've had all these additional challenges on top of that. How has that been?
Yeah, I think that, well, it has been challenging, just like for everybody else is going through the same. There are certain things that I think that in a way it was easier for us, because we were dealing with just one class. So we had to deal with 100 students and fulfilling the academic needs and personal needs of just 100 students. We didn't have 4 full classes and a lot of faculty and all that. So I think that in a way, because we have been trying to be very innovative, we had already used Zoom to interview the students. So we made a decision, and actually that was not my decision. That was the president that said, "Hey, Carmen, why?" This was before the pandemic. "Why are you going to bring people from all over the country for a half an hour interview, a 1 hour interview? That's going to add to the cost of education. Why don't you do it with Skype?" And then we said, "Oh, that's a good idea." So we did multiple mini interviews, and we used Zoom. So we had the technology, and then all the faculty participated in that. So when we went on lockdown in March, then we went back into that technology to have our faculty meetings, and we started going through, okay, what are the possible scenarios? We cannot come back, we come back, sort of hybrid and all those things. So what we did was just to tell the students, look, we are a health profession. It is normal for us to be with a mask the whole day. So everybody will be wearing a mask. And then we will do double masking. We were doing double masking from the beginning. And 2 codes. So lab coats, we would provide one lab coat, and we did the laundry, and then we did the laundry of the mask. It was the one covering their personal mask. And so it was a matter of sort of adapting and predicting what's going to come up. And that, I think that that's where the love of public health came back, because okay,
I was thinking about that. You're the perfect person with the public health background.
But then all of my faculty are too. They everybody had different ideas and great ideas, so we were able to do it. And then we were really blessed with a wonderful inaugural class, and the students were fantastic. So I think that we never made a big noise about it, but I think we were probably the only program in the country that was being offered in person. But I said that with humility because nobody else was on campus at the beginning. So we had the whole campus for 100 students. And we had a big theater where we were able to separate the students. So it was, like a real theater where people do, entertainment things, singing, orchestras, dancing, and all of those things. So it was like a 2,000 people capacity, and we just spread them out. Then we subdivided the class in groups of 3 and 6. So we always had those clusters, and in our minds, 3 were one epidemiological unit.
Yes.
And 6 students were 2 because they were always together. And, the reality is that we, were very fortunate. We didn't have any positive cases. We were testing very frequently. And then after the holidays in January, we had a few that tested asymptomatic, that tested positive. And because we had that system of 3 and 6, then we were able to quickly identify, who were in contact and so on, and stop. But, it has been challenging. I think staff, it is a burden from a mental health point of view, because you try to do everything, but then everybody has families. You worry about your family. You worry about, I have a staff member that has a family member that, is not very strong from a physical health point of view. So, I cannot be the one that is going to bring infection to my staff member, and then that will result in something horrible happening. So it has been good to have people thinking about it, but it is hard that you go up and then you think, okay, we did something for Thanksgiving, we got together, we were able to have a meal together, and then boom, no, again, you go back into, but I have good students. The students have been really good, understanding, and the faculty, they're just fantastic. They're just incredible.
Yeah, I love your faculty, and vet students are the best.
Oh, yes, yes.
But, yeah, it's been challenging. I think we've all learned to adapt, and hopefully we carry what we've learned forward to keep ourselves healthy and protect others.
Yes, yeah, I think that is just so important. And in a way, when you are starting a program and you are teaching, immunology, infectious diseases and all that, there is an application, then there is an application for, the students can connect the dots and see, okay, this is, interesting. And now they're having epidemiology, the inaugural class, and I say this with a lot of love and respect for epidemiology, but epidemiology is not something that the majority of students will like. It is so important, but it's not a topic, that is, everybody will be, yay, I have an epidemiology class. But students are loving epidemiology.
Yeah,
of course, we have a wonderful instructor, but as wonderful as he is, I think that having that application to what's going on then motivates the students to sort of learn and pay attention.
Absolutely. You see the relevance.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, let's switch to happier things. What do you do for fun?
Well, some of it is not very, sort of. It's just old-fashioned things. I knit, I read, I like music, so I read. I listen to music in the car, and just watch silly movies and that type of thing. In normal times, I love to dance. So if there is a party, I like to entertain, have people over. I am okay cooking. So, I think I can defend myself cooking. So trying new recipes and that is.
So that sounds like fun. When the pandemic ends, we can have a party at your place, okay?
Of course, that's the deal.
So you've told us about some of your superpowers, but what are your superpowers that you're most proud of, and how are you using them to support or inspire others through the League of VetaHumanz?
I just like being useful, to help people. If I can help and resolve a problem, I love that. And I think that to motivate people to see, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You just have to ask for help when you need help, and then just keep on going, be persistent. But most of all, I think that I do. I am able. I am not, like exceptionally gifted at it, but I do have that sense when somebody needs a word or compassion or a hug or something more tangible, a connection to a service or something. So I think that it is a superpower from the point of view that is draining, but it is also something that when you are going through, it's draining and frustrating, and then when you get it done and you see the results, then you are like, oh, this is great. Okay, check, help somebody today. Check.
Oh, I love that perspective, because you're absolutely right. When you use your superpowers to the fullest, it can be draining to you to help others. So we do have to keep ourselves healthy and make sure we replenish our energy so that we can help more and more people.
I often tell people that like after work, I drive. It's like a 25-minute drive, and I may have had a terrible day. That everything went wrong, but maybe something happened that was good, and then I go home and I change. This is important, Pink Phoenix. I change into my play clothes. So I change clothes. That is my thing. I get home and I change into my play clothes, just like I used to tell my kids, coming from school, now you change into your play clothes. So it's a switch in a way that even if the phone calls are still coming and the problems are coming and I may be checking in my emails, just because I change into my play clothes, is this transition that now I'm at home and I can watch the news and knit and do my needlepoint and all those things. And then the other stuff, I can extinguish those fires back and forth, but I am with my play clothes. This is my time.
I'm smiling really big now for the viewers who can't see me, because I do the same thing. I go home and I have 2 hoodies and I put on one of those 2 hoodies, depending on if it's a work night or a weeknight or a weekend. And it's a transformation, right?
It is. And it's funny that you say that, because I do have also the same thing. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I should at least change this, like buy a different one. And it's like, no, I always go back to those. That's one of my favorite, those fleece things that are very soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a red one and a purple one.
Have my champion hoodies, and it's like putting on a hug.
Right. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, before we wrap up, do you have any other inspirational words for our listeners?
I would just say, really, we do this with the good intentions that people, have role models. But what I will say is that it is wonderful to have role models that look like you, but it is very extremely important to let other people that do not look like you help you. Look for other people that have gotten there, and even if they do not look like you, because I have helped people of all type of people, all type of nationalities and colors and race and ethnicities and religious beliefs and all that. They were people, and they are people. And so I think that to be too much into that mindset that I am not going to make it because there is nobody or very few people that look like me, that restricts you. Be the first one. There is nothing wrong with being the first one. Be the first one and help others, but then look around, because there are people that are very good people and they are willing to help. And they will notice you. And if you work hard, they will notice you.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I started the league, get a group of people who are committed to helping others, and we can all work together and support each other.
But you have done a wonderful job. I don't know how you do it. We are all grateful for everything that you have done for the profession and for the future generations. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's all because I have wonderful people surrounding me, like you.
Well, isn't it true, though, that an individual may have good ideas, but if you don't have the support of many, many other people and different talents, then, it is very difficult to get things done.
Absolutely. Well, it's always amazing talking with you. I'm always inspired.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for being on the show, Vet Madrina. You can learn about other League of VetaHumanz superheroes at VetaHumanz.org. If you like this episode, please subscribe, rate, and share it with your friends. And remember, use your powers for good.